Hey, welcome to Point Black. I'm Adolphus Pruitt.
And I'm the Reverend Darrell Gray, man.
Yeah, we got a good show today.
I think we have good shows every week.
Well,
we have good shows. BJ, we have good shows every week.
Some are better than others.
I agree with that.
But those are the ones that Courtney did not be the producer on. We produce. The ones that are,
Courtney's done a great job, man. Listen, I mean, if you had to give him some grades, the alphabet grades, I'd give him a solid A.
Ladies and gentlemen,
now, he's not a BJ A plus kind of guy, but he's a solid A.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are on site again. We are at Westside Missionary Baptist Church, which is one of the hubs. If you look behind us, you will see that the hard-working folks of both the church, the Red Cross, and the other folks are here. We want to bring the show from here today to accomplish two major things. One is, now that a lot of the things that have happened as relates to the response from the government, we got a very good, intense update where we got a lot of information we can share, so folks know what's going on and where and when to go do whatever it is they need to do to get some assistance. And then two, one of the greatest things that have happened throughout all of this process is the fact that the clergy has stepped up, and we've set up hubs, three hubs across the city, and that's why we come to be here. One, because we have the Hubster with us.
I only have one correction.
Yes, sir.
When Adolphus said, "If you look behind us," he forgot we were on radio.
No, we got cameras.
I know we got cameras. No, I was going to explain that, but to our radio listeners, I don't want them looking behind themselves. I'm just saying. I just want to make sure they
should look behind themselves. If they hear me say that and they turn around and look behind themselves, that's another show.
There's another show. No, you're absolutely right.
That's another show. You know what, BJ? On the federal side, FEMA is on the ground. But ladies and gentlemen, they came on the ground on the 10th of June, and they are accepting applications till August the 11th. So if you are looking for assistance for FEMA, they got grants for temporary housing, home repairs, even low-cost loans for uninsured property losses. So if you are looking for assistance for FEMA for the May 16th St. Louis tornado, applications open up on June 10th, will come August the 11th, and I shouldn't say it this way, but our president. So when they say they are shutting it down on August the 11th,
shut it down.
I believe it.
You're going to shut it down.
I believe it. But in addition to that, Reverend Gray, guess who else is on the ground?
Who was on the ground?
The SBA.
Oh, I thought
so. We were talking about the FEMA, but we also had the Small Business Administration is on the ground. And I haven't been here in so long. They are open up at the St. Louis Community College Harrison Education Center. And that is on Cass and... Courtney, get a chance, pull that address up.
There you go.
It's right there on Cass. It's about a block, 2 blocks east of Grand. As a matter of fact, when you're firing Vashon High School, if you look to the southwest, you will see the Harrison Center. SBA is there. SBA, they opened up there on June the 12th. They have business. They have physical disaster loans for businesses up to $2 million. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, not just for-profit businesses, but non-for-profit businesses. You can get the loans to repair and replace your damaged property, equipment, and replace your inventory. For those folks who have home or personal property, they have loans for personal property and home loans up to $500,000 for homeowners and $100,000 for personal property replacement. Let me say it again. These are loans. These are very low interest loans, but they are there. So if you lost some property in your process and you want to replace it, go get a loan. If you're a business and your building is damaged or you lost your inventory, they are there to help you. They're at the Harrison Center, up to $2 million. And they also have working capital assistance for businesses affected by financial losses. So say, BJ, say your business you didn't sustain any major damage. Nobody come in there and loot you and take your inventory.
Oh, Lord.
But the problem is that the people you relied on to do business with you, and you in the area, in the zone, and your business went down because people are not buying. People are hurt. And people not buying, and you're not taking in the revenue that you normally take in, they have a program to help you out. That's the SBA over at the Harrison Center. Go ahead, BJ.
No, I was just listening to what you were saying, and that is like amazing.
It's amazing.
Yes,
that's amazing. I've never been able to hear anything like that. Like, you may make about $500 or $600 a week, or whatever that number is.
Right.
And now you're making $2 a week.
Right.
They got something to supplement your income that you were making prior to the tornado.
They call it the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL. It's working capital. Because they understand that you had a grocery store or a store in the impacted area, and the people in the neighborhood used to buy from you, their houses are gone. They're in shelters or whatever. They don't have the money. And now you don't have those customers anymore. And you're suffering. They don't want the business to go away. They don't want you to close because we're going to build back. So they're going to these are loans, but
right.
2.75%, a 2% loan.
Can't beat that with a stick.
You can't beat that, man.
Can't beat that.
And up to 30-year amortization, so you can stretch it out for 30 years.
So you can take $5,000 and pay it back over 30 years.
Right.
Exactly.
I think, and I want to go back, and I know. I mean, listen. We've got to make sure we look forward. We got to make sure we look at recovery. But I do want to go back for a minute because a lot of people at Dolphus probably don't understand when you go back to the FEMA assistance. I know the Small Business Administration and making sure we take care of businesses, but people need to understand too what the FEMA assistance is for. It's not for everything. And so people need to understand that you can get they got grants for temporary housing, home repair, low-cost loans, uninsured property losses, because that's another thing that people are talking about, because a lot of folk in the impacted area were uninsured or underinsured. And so Pruitt's absolutely right. But, we've got to make sure that everybody understands, and other recovery assistance. And so if you think that you might be eligible, if you've got an issue, then apply anyway. Because you don't know what that other recovery assistance might be, and particularly people who are uninsured and underinsured, we want to make sure that they go ahead and apply.
And what's that date again?
August for FEMA, August the 11th. If you don't get in by August the 11th, don't listen. Where is FEMA at? Where is FEMA at?
Yep,
FEMA's here. You can call them, give them the address, give them your zip code, tell them it's for the May 16th tornado. You can do it. They're here.
Now, the one thing I want to point out, if you're a person and you're listening to this and you got a grandmother or grandfather that was affected, and they're not good at the going online and using the smartphones, go over there and help them out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You got an auntie that's they can't do that on the phone. You need to be getting in their ear, and a lot of times they'll be like, "No, I don't want to do that, baby. But the Lord gonna bless me." Well, the Lord trying to bless you right now, and you need to help them out with
a smart child. You got a smart grandchild, a smart grandchild. But you're absolutely right. And one of the things we've been doing too, BJ, and I know Pruitt's going to talk about it, and I know our guests are going to talk about it. We've been trying to go door to door with people. Big canvas last week, put out over 4,000 leaflets explaining to people what all these assistance programs are. But what the community also did in volunteers, they stood there with people and to help them to explain the process, go through the process, especially these QR codes. I didn't start using QR codes till last year, And so I get it. And so, you're absolutely right. But, I think we got to go door to door. FEMA's on the ground. We've got to take advantage of this because, as Pruitt said, this is about recovery now.
Mm-hmm. And that's at the federal level. Now, folks, our state.
Come on now.
Folks have been asking what's going on at the state level.
Big Mike.
The governor on Saturday signed the bill that dedicated $100 million in storm relief for St. Louis.
Yes.
So let's be clear. There's $100 million in disaster aid specifically for St. Louis.
Right.
There's another $25 million in the Missouri Housing Trust Fund for emergency housing assistance, and then there's a $5,000 income tax credit for storm victims to offset their insurance deductibles. But as relates to the $100 million, he signed the law, and so right now the city and the state are working out through a memorandum how that money can be spent. There is some language in the legislation, but at the end of the day, it is through the memorandum of understanding between the state and the city, which is going to dictate exactly how that money is spent. And as soon as we get a little bit more information and have some idea what's in that memorandum, we will share it with you. We could share with you what was in the legislation, but let's be clear. If I tell you that now, and they negotiate a memorandum, and some of that is no longer in there, then Pruitt, you said on the radio.
I'm sure going to say it. I'm sure going to say. I'm going to say, well, Adolphus, the president of NAACP, said. I'm sure going to say it by there. I'm going to say Adolphus said. But I think, just like our guest last week, I think that's why it's important, Adolphus, that there are people who are privy to what's going to go into that MOU. The city, elected officials, elected officials who represent people who were impacted, so that they can make sure all the people, our state reps. We had Senator Carla May on the other day. And so they've got to be in the room too to make sure that whatever agreement the city is going to make with the state is that's exactly what we need. And so, I'm glad we had Senator Carla May on here. And as Adolphus said, we're going to make sure Adolphus kind of pays attention to what's going on. Listen, we got to wrap up for a minute just to go on a break. And we're going to be right back with our special guest in studio. Stay tuned to Point Black.
And we are back. And yes, we are at Westside Missionary Baptist Church. We are on site.
And where the pastor is the Reverend Dr. Charles Bobo. Where the pastor is the Reverend Dr. Charles Bobo.
And we're talking about, we letting you know what's out there. I couldn't wait to say that, man. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? BJ is a hip-hop church.
It is. You know what I'm saying?
It's a very modern church.
Yeah, listen to that. But ladies and gentlemen, we were talking about the what's out there. A couple other quick things on the state is that at the Schaefer's Arena, and this show will probably air after that. But ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't make it to the Schaefer's Arena, you need to make sure you get with the Missouri Department of Revenue so you can replace your state IDs, your driver's license. You need to get all of that stuff because as you apply for this aid and other things, you just need to have it.
Right.
You just need to have it. The Missouri Department of Mental Health, they're on the ground, and they're working with FEMA, with counseling, and so Darryl, I didn't know this, that the Department of Economic Development has a $5 million National Dislocated Worker Grant.
Yep. I served on the Workforce Development Board, and I spoke to the director the other day, and they have already, out of all of this, allocated $750,000 to the Urban League, for the Urban League to help small businesses in the impacted area. It's called work sharing. So somebody in the impacted area working in one of those businesses, business can't operate right now, that person can go to another business.
Okay.
Outside the area and be paid and stay on as an employee of the business that was impacted.
Got it.
So I thought that was pretty good. And Pruitt's right. It's interesting, Adolphus, the things that we're finding out are available, but we're finding out through crises. And so it's going to be important that even as we find this out, that even after recovery, and we're talking about recovery several years from now, but during and after recovery, even areas that are not impacted, but areas that are disadvantaged, areas that are economically disadvantaged. I think through it, there's a lot of information in here, and NAACP, y'all aren't doing too bad in uncovering and information that's going to be helpful during recovery and beyond.
Yeah, and then the last piece, before we get to our guest, the city funding, $30 million, is matter of fact today. They should be approving that thing today. I think it's going to get approved today. And so you'll be hearing more about that as it relates to your the insurance issue, about them withholding your money from the insurance settlement. That the mayor issued executive order. You don't have to worry about that. And if they took your money and you haven't got it back yet, call City Hall. Get in touch with the mayor's office or anybody down there, because the insurance companies should be giving your money back. And then, of course, the city has set up drop-off locations and things of that nature. But now the thing I want to talk the most about is these hubs.
Before you do that, Pruitt, I want to make sure that people know this insurance part. I believe in giving honor where honor is due. You give proper respects. The NAACP sent a letter to the city to ask about to raise the concerns around this insurance. The NAACP sent a letter. Now, I like to believe that the mayor did it without any prodding or urging or whatever, but I think it is important to say that the NAACP, and they were public about it, asking the mayor to take a look at these types of issues. And so, Pruitt, you may not pat yourself on the back of the NAACP, but I don't have a problem letting people know that there are organizations and individuals and entities out there putting in the work. So I just want to give kudos to the NAACP.
I'm glad you said putting in the work, because now
there you go.
The real work, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, let's just be clear. You lost power. Some cases you lost your home. You don't have any food. You're suffering from loss of income and all these other things, and you're looking for somewhere to go to get some assistance, some type of assistance. Well, they have these hubs set up throughout the city, and we're in one. And so what we're going to do is introduce our guest. Daryl will introduce our guest, and then we're going to talk about just what a hub is and what a hub does,
right,
and then what the hours are for this particular hub, but it gives you some idea of probably what Daryl should be able to know what the hours are for some of the other ones.
I probably do.
I
probably do. First of all, we want to thank the Red Cross, because when we talk about these hubs were the brainchild of the American Red Cross in the St. Louis region, by way of Brother Smither Fallen, who is one of the national disaster relief coordinators, outreach coordinators. This was something that a seed that he planted with his national vice president. They moved forward with it. The executive director here locally supported it, Lucretia Cox. She's been on our show. And out of these hubs, we actually have 4 who are part of what we call the Spirit of St. Louis and the Heart of St. Louis Task Force. But the ones that are more specifically church coordinated are 3. And we're going to ask the coordinator. She's not only the coordinator for the hub here at Westside, she's also the associate pastor of the Westside Missionary Baptist Church, Reverend Angela Tate. And we thank you, Reverend Tate, for being here. Associate pastor, coordinator for the hub, coordinator for your food bank and feeding program that you do. You're feeding thousands of people. Welcome to Point Blank.
Thank you so much. It's my privilege to be on with you on today.
Well, Adolphus said it. It's important. Tell us about this hub, the partnership with the Red Cross, the partnership with the food bank. Just about your partnership, the volunteers, how long you've been doing it. Just
for sure.
Let our audience, our listeners know.
For sure. So again, thank you for having us on. We love to be able to talk about what we've been doing in the community. We have been operating, just to kind of take a step back to get the full context.
Yes.
We've been operating our local food pantry for the past 5 years. We have partnerships with St. Louis Area Food Bank, Operation Food Search as well. And so we do a weekly food giveaway on Thursdays. And so we serve roughly 1,000 folks a week just already. Mm-hmm. When the storm happened on May 16th, and just the response from the community has been tremendous in terms of from partners from the Red Cross. We've also had some partnerships with World Vision, and just an outpouring of agencies wanting to support. Well, the way we wanted to approach it was, we already have something in place. We've got existing infrastructure. Let's build up on the existing infrastructure versus trying to build something from the ground up. And so that's exactly what we've been doing. We continue to do our weekly food giveaway, but on other days of the week, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4, Red Cross is present. People can come in and register with the Red Cross. They can get needed supplies all during the week. And then on Thursday is the huge food giveaway. But it's been tremendous having people to be able to come at their point of need. Not just on that Thursday, that we've been able to expand the days and hours that we can serve the community. And that's really been because of the support of our partners.
Well, you as you mentioned, you were doing some of this for the past 5 years, reaching out to the community, providing them some assistance. Overall, what would you say the condition of the community is? Because if you said 1,000 people a week, mm-hmm. prior to the tornado,
right.
1,000. I mean, I'm saying,
right.
1,000 people a week prior to the tornado, and you see these folks on an ongoing basis. So you have, and I'm not trying to be negative, but you have some sort of assessment of what you think the type of need really is beyond just the food. Mm-hmm. What are you getting out of that?
So I think it's a confirmation really of how great the need is.
Okay.
And what we're seeing even in the response to this storm is that we're really still recovering from the pandemic.
Right.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
Right.
We've always had food pantry, but it was a couple of days a month. It was really on a small scale. Pandemic hit, wiped everything out for so many people. And so then we were able to scale up to be able to meet the need. So really what we're seeing is what I would call a compound crisis.
Got it.
Right? The crisis of the pandemic, and we've come out of that, but have we really? And then this storm hits, and it compounds the crisis. And so I think that that's really what we're looking at, especially as you talk about recovery, that this is long term. Yeah, we're still recovering from some other things.
So what you said, the COVID bug may have died, but he left a hell of a skeleton.
He sure
that is
did.
correct.
And I think the thing that we're seeing too, Adolphus, and we're making sure that in addition to materials, in addition to food, in addition to those things, the hubs are also offering, it's almost I call it a ministry of referral. So they're referring people. People are coming. They might need to be referred to a therapist. They might need to be referred to whatever it may be. And so we're making sure that, as you said at the top of the show, there's information on FEMA, there's information on SEMA, there's information on the Small Business Administration, there's information on whatever the Red Cross can provide, or the United Way, or the Urban League. So the hubs are becoming that one-stop shop, not just for materials, and also when people can come in, they can get prayer too. I mean, this is actually a one-stop shop. And so when you see that going on, and as you talk about it, Adolphus, the different partners, it could be United Methodist Church, Friendly Temple is doing their center and providing shelters. And so Westside may not be providing a shelter, but if you come needing housing, be it immediate, temporary, whatever, the hubs are going to make sure that information is provided, and they have Red Cross people on site on all of the hubs to make sure they help you get to where you need to go, fill out your forms, be it financial assistance or whatever the need may be. And so we've got these churches. Grandmom used to say there's a church and a liquor store on every corner. We're trying to make sure that the churches get more attention than the liquor stores. I'm just saying. Can you say that on the radio, BJ? Oh, okay. I'm just checking.
BJ, you can, because BJ know where every liquor store is in town. He gonna look, and listen, ladies and gentlemen, we got his mic, so we can really get at BJ today. We got his mic, but here's my. I'm sorry. Oh no, don't mess with the button, BJ.
See, he got the button. You made the button, but he got the button.
BJ, don't touch it. Courtney, BJ's over here messing with the buttons. So here's my question. The hub here where we at is open. And you're serving people, and the thousands of people a week for food, you're serving them. That hasn't stopped. But ladies and gentlemen, what we haven't said is this church got damaged. Yes. Now we're down here doing the show, but upstairs they're working on. They doing some construction. Right. Yeah. How's the church holding up?
So I love the question because it is. There's a concept in the Bible in the church, the wounded healer. Mm-hmm. Right. And so, we were wounded. We got significant damage, but not catastrophic. And so we're doing what we need to do to take care of our congregation, to take care of the building. But we understand it's not an either or enterprise. It's both and. We've got to take care of what happened to us, but we also have to take care of God's people. We can't turn our back on them just because we're hurting. And so, we did have some damage. Of the 5 fatalities that happened as a result of the tornado, one of those was one of our members.
Oh, wow.
And so we are ministering to our church and even ministering to our church on an ongoing basis through other losses. But we are called upon to be that wounded healer, that even as we're dealing with our stuff, to be able to meet the needs of not just our congregation, but the community at large, because that's who we're called to be as the church. And Reverend Gray mentioned how there are other churches who are doing other things. Some churches have housing. We're able to do supplies and food. It doesn't make us less than because we can't do housing. The word says we are one body and we need all of the parts. And so there's no competition. But we're all needed.
Darryl, let me hop in here. I'm glad you mentioned. I'm sorry to hear about your parishioner, but there were 5 people that lost their lives as a result of the storm. And the unique thing, Darryl, that I saw was about the ages. Yeah. There's one that's 48 years old, but all the rest of them are 60, 70, 74, and 78 years old. Yeah. And it's like, wow. I mean, so these and I don't want to bring it up, but these may have been people who was in their homes, right? Had a warning, had they heard a warning, right? That they may still be with us today. But we're going to keep those families in our prayers and let us, if we haven't said it before, let us say it now that we are distraught and terribly concerned and disappointed about anybody who had any loss of life. So those families, those relatives, if you're listening to the show, point blank, we do care, and you have our utmost condolences. And
we've been saying that throughout. I mean, I know through Point Blank, through iHeartRadio, we continue. Listen, we talk through this, and I think that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to talk through this, trying to talk through the crisis, and we're trying to provide information, and we're trying to provide education, and we're trying to get through the healing, and all of us. And you said it, Pruitt. You've said it on different shows. I think all of us have been directly or indirectly affected by this. This healing is for St. Louis. Amen. And so when we talk about these two task forces, the Spirit of St. Louis, which is primarily church organizations, religious organizations, and then you've got the Heart of St. Louis, which is a task force made up primarily of nonprofit organizations, secular organizations. You've seen the work that the Urban League has done. You've seen the work that Action St. Louis has done. You've seen, like I said, iHeart and other partners. There have been so many different entities, people who would not normally work well together are trying really hard, struggling sometimes to find a way to work together because all of us are in this. And so like you said, 38 people injured, over 10,000 buildings damaged. We said 2 weeks ago, 1.6 billion, but the mayor said last week that 2 billion. And so I guess the more you look at it, you're going to find other things. And we try to also tell people that the 30 million from the city now, or the 100 million from the state, or the 70 million from the feds, that's not to cover the entire recovery process either. So I think we have to make sure that people know that, and it's going to take our elected representatives, it's going to take our civil rights organizations, it's going to take individuals to keep on saying, yes, we need this right now to get us through this part. And then we're going to continue to need support as we move on. And
hey, BJ, I just thought about it. I'm really covered. I got a reverend on either side of me, folks. If you could see this,
oh my God,
I got a reverend on either side.
You went to seminary too, people don't know. You went to seminary.
Yeah, but I'm covered, man. Listen.
He said he needed to go. Wait a minute, BJ said you needed to go.
I'm so covered. I'm gonna go out here and drive with my eyes closed.
No, you better not do that.
No, BJ, don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We don't want anything to happen to you.
But
it's a lot, Pruitt.
Yeah, but
it's a lot.
Reverend, let me ask you this. People have, over the years, even recently, are critical of the church. Especially black people are critical of the black church. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear me for a moment, because for some reason, we can be the hardest, most vicious, and vile assessor when it comes to our judging our own people and our own organizations and things of that nature.
You're right.
I mean, and the expectations of the church. From time to time, people would say, "Oh, the church, they should be building houses for these folks. They should solve all their problems and this and that." I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but how do you respond to that? How do you?
It's a wonderful question, and so I don't want to over spiritualize it, but this notion of either I'm going to please God or I'm going to please man. And so if I have my eye on what will please the Lord, the scriptures say if you do what's right by God, even your enemies have to be in agreement with you. And so you can, the old saying, you can please some of the people some of the time, and then isn't that how it goes? But somebody's gonna be disappointed.
Right.
And so I have to have my eyes on what is it that God is calling me to do, because somebody is likely saying, why isn't Westside housing people? Well, that's not our assignment.
Right.
And that's how we get in trouble, trying to do someone else's assignment. So we have to be so clear. As I follow under the leadership of Pastor Charles Bobo, I know he is hearing from God. I'm hearing from God, but I'm following him as he follows God on what it is we're supposed to do, so that we are not out of line. And I think that in terms of people who come to the church and say, well, you should be doing this. Okay, come help me do it.
Absolutely. That's right. You know what? Now,
come help me
people
do
tell me
it.
all the time, the NACP ain't doing this. And I said, well, join and vote me out.
Come help me do it.
We're going to take another break. We'll be right back with more on Point Black, and vote Courtney out too.
And we are back with more of Point Black.
And still black.
And we are, as the Dolphins say, we're always going to be black. We're talking about the recent tornado that devastated St. Louis. 5 people dead, 38 people injured. Tornado damage over 10,000 buildings, up to $2 billion in damage, and recovery is somewhere, I believe, on the horizon. We are at Westside Missionary Baptist Church, which is one of the hubs, supplying support, all kind of support to people in need. The Reverend Dr. Charles Bobo is the pastor, and we're here with his associate pastor, hub coordinator, outreach coordinator, volunteer extraordinaire, and she's also a therapist, by the way, Pruitt. So you might want to, if you want to get some counseling later on, you might want to. And we're here with Reverend Angela Tate. Angela, Pruitt talked about it earlier, other distribution centers, and we do have 3. We've got Westside Missionary Baptist Church on 4675 Page Boulevard, and the hours of operation Monday to Friday, 9 a.m., 4 p.m. We've got Influence Church, which is 4324 Margaretta Avenue, and their hours of operation is from Wednesday to Saturday from 10:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. And St. James AME Church, which is 4301 St. Ferdinand Avenue, across from the historic Sumner High School, Thursday to Friday, 12 to 4 p.m. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Kingdom Church. Yes. On West Florissant. Yes. And Kingdom Church is working specifically with Action St. Louis. And like I said, Action's been doing a phenomenal job. And so you mentioned it, and Reverend Tate, you said, if you don't see us doing it, come on in and help us do it. You're looking at, Westside, I know, is looking at partnering with nonprofits, secular organizations. How does that work, and why is Pruitt said, why is that so important?
It's important because we don't have all of the ideas. We don't have all of the gifts. We don't have we have our part, and we're going to do our part well. But we were not meant to do this work in isolation. I've worked in lots of spaces, in nonprofit, in mental health, and the conversation is always the same. We can't be in these silos, right? Mm-hmm. We've got to come outside of the silos. And so us being able to partner with other organizations helps us to break out of that. If we're going to be the church, not just in the building, but out there, then I got to connect with the people that are out there. You mentioned folks are critical of the church. Mm-hmm. People don't always trust the church. But if I link up with somebody that's out in the community and that person says, oh no, they're okay, then we're in, and we can help people to see the church in a different light. And so none of us were meant to do this work on our own. We're called to be interdependent, not independent and isolated.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad she said that, because what I'm going to help. I'm going to jump on top of this, and you, each and every one of you, come on, have been called
right
by the Lord to provide some service, some goodwill to your neighbors, to your friends, to your children. Whether you want to accept that calling or not, right. I'm going to assure you that if you just sit back, get in a quiet place, get rid of all the clutter, get rid of all the clutter, and just ask. And I think you will hear something. Mm-hmm. I think somebody will talk to you.
Come on now.
That you can understand. That you can understand that it's funny. You know what they call it? That they say that's was a sixth sense, or that voice where you say you want to do this, right, and it tells you to do this, and you say, "Boy, I wish I had done that." Well, where do you think that's coming from? So folks, I'm just saying that right now, people are hurting. It's the easiest thing to do is to be critical,
right. And people have responded.
It's the easiest thing to do.
And you know what? And listen, you got and you are surrounded by two preachers, and you are in West Side, and BJ said this, so I want to say it too. But the reality is this, and you're right. The first day of the tornado, when the tornado went by and the sun came out and people went outside, people were helping people. Right. Neighbors were helping neighbors. You had neighbors helping neighbors that they had never even said hello to. And so that was important. But you're right. But we've got to continue that. We are our brothers and our sisters' keeper. We do have to live for the sake of others. And that's why these hubs are important. That's why organizations, and you've got it here, like the Red Cross, like Friendly Temple, like the United Way, like Catholic Charities, like Grace United. All of these organizations, all of these churches are stepping up. And, with the Spirit, our own associate producer, Courtney Curtis, is the secretary. Reverend Lyndon Bowie, Zion's Traveler, president of the State Baptist Convention, is the chair. Reverend Sheila Scott, AME Church, is the vice chair. And so there's diversity there. I just said that so to mention the diversity of the people, diversity in gender, diversity in color. We've got a Jewish rabbi, we've got an Imam cleric. And so, Pruitt, your point is absolutely right. All of us have a responsibility to the other. And it's not, BJ, it's not just money. It's not just money, because some people cannot donate. Some people don't have the money to donate. But the people who are going out cleaning up, you got teams of people on the weekend just going out cleaning up. They say, well, I can't build anything, but I can clean up.
Yeah, but they can pick up, and you can pick up the phone and call. You can call government. You can call folks and say, hey, what's going on? How are people doing? We want to make sure. But what can we do for the church? Is there, folks listening, what could they do for the church?
I think just continuing to tell us what the needs are.
Gotcha.
Right? You are in some ways, there are other folks in some ways that are our eyes and ears. People will come to other entities besides the church and say things that they won't say directly to us.
Gotcha.
So help us to know what the needs are. And here's the big thing. When people get upset with the church, and I get it, we're not perfect, but tell us, hey, when you did this wasn't helpful. Okay, let us help us to adjust. Because in this day and age, we're going to be welcoming in folks who know nothing about the church, know nothing about church protocol and procedures and all of those things. So we're going to get it wrong sometimes, but we want to show the love of Christ. The scripture says the greatest commandment is this, and you all already just mentioned it: love your neighbor as yourself. Right. So we want to do that, but we get it wrong sometimes. And so, hey, you miss this.
And the same way, Pruitt, the same way people are coming from day one, the needs are changing in the distribution centers. So the first couple of days that people come, they might be looking for a flashlight, or they might be looking for right. And then a week out, they're looking for something else, because now you're moving past rescue mode, relief mode, recovery mode. So the needs that people are coming to the hubs for are changing as we move further away from rescue.
We saw early on a big need for tarps and things of that nature. Now it's more diapers and water and hygiene kits and food, because initially it's I just need to secure what's left of my housing.
Right.
And so you're absolutely right. We see the needs shifting, and I think the other way that folks have been supporting the church is and can continue is showing up, volunteer. We've had wonderful people come, and even when it's not super busy, people just want to be a part of what's happening. Keep that spirit going, keep that energy going as we continue to move through this.
Got it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we at the point where we have to wrap up, but I did have one other question for you, Reverend. The children. What are you saying as relates to the children? We didn't talk about the children.
And so we have been trying to be mindful of the needs of children. We've been having toys and puzzles and things like that so that when the kids come, we have something for them too.
Got it.
My background in counseling and mental health, I just encourage people, keep an eye on the babies. Watch how they are responding to all of this and just keep the space safe for them to be able to talk about what they're thinking and what they're feeling.
Go to the Spirit of St. Louis Facebook page if you want information. Always, you can go to iHeartRadio. You can go to Point Black STL to get more information.
Take us out.
Well, listen, if that didn't take us out, I don't know what. Listen, we are our brothers and our sisters' keeper. Thank you for tuning in to Point Black.